What's up, y'all? It's Missy from Fire Fitness Camp Fond du Lac. So now we're going to talk about some hip mobility. So if you happen to perform an overhead squat assessment on somebody and they've got a pretty wicked forward lean, one of the tests that we're going to do is a little hip mobility test. For us, we sit down on a bench. I'll show you right here. We sit down on a little bench. This isn't going to be a perfect picture, but I have someone pick their heel up to here. And if they struggle getting their leg up to their knee, that is a great indicator that there is some immobility in their hip. Lots of other things we can do. There is a drastic range of mobility tests we can do. This is just a quick and simple little one that you can do after an overhead squat assessment. So if you see that it's difficult or any of their body has to shift to get their knee up there, they probably got some mobility they can work on in the hip complex. So, or if you working out find that you have a really hard time staying up tall when you are squatting, part of the issue could be in their hips. And regardless, almost everybody out there could use a little help with some more hip mobility. So we're going to run through some drills to help with that. First thing we're going to do is use our trusty foam roller. We always start out with a foam roller. We're going to inhibit those muscles. We're going to hit the trigger point spot. So a couple different spots that we're going to hit on our foam roller. First one being our piriformis. So that's right here, that deep glute muscle. So I'm going to go I'm going to sit on my foam roller. I'm going to slide down just a little bit, put one foot up on my knee, and then just roll over to the side, a tiny spot. You will know when you get there. You will know when someone you're working with gets there. You can see it on their face. You want them to find that most tender spot right there. And you're going to hold for 30 seconds. Anywhere 30 seconds up to 2 minutes if you want. And then you're going to take some big deep breaths. After 30 seconds, you're going to get a little movement in there. So you could go side to side if you want. You could do a little roll if you want, but you always want to sit on that trigger point for 30 seconds first, and then you can move it around anywhere like 7 to 10 reps or so after that. Then we are going to go into our TFL and our quad. So our TFL, think of it like it's your hip pocket, and then it like spans out from there like a fan, okay? And for some of us, it goes down even into that quad. So you're going to start right here in that hip spot. You don't want to be on your hip joint because that's going to cause some problems, but you're going to start right in your hip pocket, and then you're going to roll to the side just a tiny bit. And right about there, you're going to be on your TFL. So you're going to hang out there for 30 seconds. And then again, you are going to flex your foot. Anywhere like 4, 5, 6, up to 10 times. And by flexing that foot, that's going to get it deeper down into there. And then also from there on that same leg, you can go down into your quad. Anywhere up in your quad, you can do the same muscle group for up to 2 minutes. So right on the meat of your quad is going to be by far the most challenging for most people. Typically, I'll have people start up in their TFL, and then they'll roll over kind of the top of their quad. And then at the very least, try to get right above their knee down towards the bottom of their quad, and then still doing that foot flex. So again, you're holding that trigger point for 30 seconds, and then you're flexing, and it's going to be great. Next on my list, we got hamstrings. So you're going to start right where you're at for the piriformis. As always, I would rather do one side at a time, but the reality of it is that we don't have all the time in the world, right? And neither do our clients when they come in the door, or neither do you if you are a recruit and you're coming in the door. You don't got all the time in the world. You're here for a 30-minute workout. So I would like to do both one side at a time, but if you don't have it, you can definitely do both. You'll just sit right on top, and you're going to start in the most tender spot. You're going to find that trigger point. You're going to hold for 30 seconds, and then you're going to take some big deep breaths. And you can move your foot side to side to get it deeper. You could reach towards your toe to get it deeper. Lots of things you can get it deeper down into your hamstring. But again, you want to hold for about that 30 seconds and then try to get a little bit further down. And lastly, for the foam rolling, we're going to do our adductors. So the inside of our legs right here, you're going to start right in your groin, and you're going to find the most tender spot there. So I'm going to start right there, and right there is great for me. I'm going to hold it for 30 seconds, and then a great way to get this one deeper is to straighten out my leg, and that's going to get it down deeper in there. So from there, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stretch. Again, there's a lot of them on the hip mobility warm-up, so you can pick even just 2 of these, do 2 one day, 2 the other day. We're just going to run through all of them, but whichever one you foam roll, make sure that you're also stretching out So we are going to stretch out the quads and the TFL. So lots of different ways you can stretch out your quads, right? You can do the traditional standing quad stretch, right? Or you can lay on your side and stretch it out here. I really like to do neuromuscular stretching. If you happen to have access to a band, this is just, for me, it's a game changer. It gets it a lot deeper down into there. So we can either go from our side. So I'm going to go right here and I'm going to hold for 30 seconds. I'm going to take a big deep breath and I'm going to try to stretch it a little bit further for about 7 to 10 seconds. Or we can go on our belly and do the same thing. Typically on your stomach is going to get it more up into the hip, and on your side is going to be more in your quads. So it's just kind of a matter of what you feel. Again, we hold that for about 30 seconds and then we try to get a little bit lower. And then for a piriformis stretch, we typically just have someone go on a box. So say my box is here, I'm going to put my foot on my box and I'm just going to lean down into it. If you don't have a box, you can just stretch right here. And again, I'm going to hold it for 30 seconds. Then I'm going to take a big deep breath and I'm going to try to hold it even longer. And that should be getting you a really good stretch right over there. And then we're going to do our hamstrings. Again, I like to do the neuromuscular stretching with a band, but you can do any kind of hamstring stretch you want. By far, the one more effective one, rather doing standing or just sitting down, would be to put your foot up on a box. If you're not using a band, so I've got a box right here, would be to put my foot up there. That's going to get it a lot deeper down your hamstring than if you were doing a stretch right here, a stretch down on the ground. But I'm going to use a band and I'm going to hook it on my heel and I'm going to go right here. And it's going to stretch a lot right away, and it's going to burn a lot right away. So I'm going to cut to 30 seconds, and then I'm going to take a big deep breath, and then I'm going to do it a little bit further. Next. Oh, I've got some hip distraction. This is stuff that's great. So again, if you don't have a band, that's okay. This isn't something that you would be doing. It's not a big deal, but it's going to be great for getting down deeper into those squats and loosen up those hips. So this is hip mobility. I'm trying to mobilize my hip joint. So you can hold it for someone, or you can apply pressure by just tying it to a pole. So I'm going to be right here. I'm going to put this knee down, my other knee up. So I'm going to push my hip complex forward, backward 10 times. And I'm trying to keep as much tension on that band as I can. And then I'm going to do it forward. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm still just moving my hips forward and back. And then I'm going to turn away from it. And I'm going to go backwards. But the biggest thing is that I'm never going to have this band pulling my joint back into me. So I wouldn't actually, sorry, I actually did that the wrong way. So I would be right here and I would go backwards right here. But I would never, ever face that way because that's going to pull that joint back into it. I hope that all makes sense. So I'm going from the back, from the outside, and from the front. I'm never going across my body, is what I'm trying to say. And next, we've got some internal, external rotations. So this is something that I have a ton of my athletes do. It's going to make you quicker. It's going to loosen up your hips any day of the week. So you're going to go side to side. I usually have them do anywhere from 10 to 20. And then they're going to go into, I call them a stable version of it. And you're going to try to push this inside knee down to the ground without letting this one drop down. So we were going nice and easy, and then we're going to try to really get a good stretch out of it and hold it down there. And next we got some leg raises. So I'm going to do a banded leg raise. So I'm going to be right here trying to activate my hamstrings now. So I just did a lot of stretching everywhere throughout my hip complex. And now I'm trying to strengthen my hamstrings a little bit. So I'm going to get a kickback. Ooh, it's a tight band. So you're going to do kickback quick, hold for 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 on the way in. Kickback quick, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the way in. Just trying to get some isolated strengthening activity going on. And then also on my list, I've got glute kickback. So I'm right here, and then I'm just kicking straight back. You're doing the same thing. You're going all the way back quick. You're going to hold for 1, 2, and 1, 2, 3, 4 on the way in. Quick on the way out. Hold 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the way in. You can choose one or the other of those. They're both going to be a slightly different feeling, but one will do. Just pick one or the other. And then we got just some air squats. So I just loosened up everything in my hips, right? And then I just want to do some good quality air squats. I should feel much better than when I started. Everything's a little bit looser, focusing on my good squat form, keeping my chest up. I like to have people air squat with their hands up here, just simply because they're looking at their hands. That's going to force keeping that chest up a little bit. And then I've got leg swings on my list. Always a fan of leg swings. To be perfectly honest, if I have zero time for a camp, I'm going to leg swing no matter what, because that's going to really loosen things up. And whenever I'm leg swinging, I'm trying to keep my foot flexed on the way up and kick my butt on the way back so that I'm stretching both my hamstring and my quad. And then I'm also going to go side to side right here. So I know that was a lot of different options in there. And it's just a matter of what people have time for, right? So whatever you have time for, whatever they have time for, give them the whole list, and then they can pick and choose. Maybe do some one day, some the other day. As always, anything is going to be better than nothing, and you're going to start mobilizing those hips, and people are going to feel better. You can also do a lot of this stuff post-camp. If anything, try to sit on a foam roller post-camp, and that alone is really going to help start getting people a lot more mobile. So as always, feel free to shoot me a message or an email if you have any questions. I would be happy to help, and see y'all later.